How's it going, everyone? Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you guys being here today. We're talking Alabama versus Georgia. It's the SEC matchup we've all been waiting for, aka an early look at the national title. These are the two top teams in college football. I think that the way that these two teams are playing right now, absolutely. You have Georgia, who's number one. You have number 8, Alabama. The teams will be ranked on Tuesday night in the updated playoff rankings. Let me know where you're coming from inside the comment box. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's look at the teams, and the call-in line, of course, is open. So I want to talk to you today about this game between Alabama and Georgia. We have a ton of content on the YouTube channel right now. You have Nick Saban's Monday press conference, Kirby Smart. You have Jalen Milroe. You have Malachi Moore, Deontay Lawson, and of course, much more coming your way today right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I was cooking up some graphics today, and I have Alabama versus Georgia, the players, and then I also have the teams side by side. And look, Georgia has all the pressure, 100% in this game, riding that 29-game winning streak. All eyes are on this unbeatable Georgia team. They've done a great job this year, but all the pressure is on them. Let's zoom in and look at the rankings, the stats. I mean, when we look to this particular game, and then I'm going to pull up the actual team rankings on kind of a side-by-side comparison, if you will. I'll get to my callers in just a minute. On the left, you got Jalen Milroe, 2,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Jace has run for 825 yards, and of course, Coach Sabin said he's kind of day-to-day this week. I think he'll be good to go from Saturday. What about you inside the comment box? Roydell Williams, 507 yards with 4 touchdowns. But the thing is, I didn't add this, but Milroe has also rushed for 600 yards on the season, has 12 rushing touchdowns, which is pretty incredible for a quarterback as well. You also have Jermaine Burton, a former Georgia Bulldog. We're staying on the left right here as we walk through Alabama's stats. 749 yards. He's really improved this year. It's been an amazing season. Again, he's a former Georgia player. I'm sure he's really excited about this game coming up. And then you have Isaiah Bond, 542 yards with 4 touchdowns. The catch that he had in Auburn will be forever remembered. That was just straight incredible. What's up, guys? I see you inside the comment box. Mary, Josh, Mark, Frenchtown Production. What's up? Andrew Kennedy, I see you. Jim, what's up? I appreciate you guys being here. Tight end is Amari Niblack, 304 yards with 4 touchdowns. On the defensive side, you have Caleb Downs, 95 tackles, 2 interceptions. You have Jahar Campbell, 61 tackles. The growth of him has been really amazing this season. You have Dallas Turner, 46 tackles and 9 sacks. Look at these bottom stats right here. Dallas Turner, he has 9 sacks, and then you have Chris Broswell, who has 8 sacks on the year. You have Terran Arnold, who has 5 interceptions and 10 pass breakups. These guys have been playing at such a high level. Okay, so let's look to the right side of this graphic, and now let's look at the Georgia Bulldogs in terms of the players, and I do have the teams side by side. Again, it's going to look like a heavy favorite Georgia team. Of course, they're favored by 4.5, and you'll see why in just a second. So let's look at the Georgia Bulldogs statistics. These are individuals. So you have Carson Beck, who's had a fantastic year, 3,400 yards, 22 touchdowns. He's playing among the highest levels with the quarterbacks. You look at Carson Beck, Jalen Milroe, Bo Nix, those guys, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, all these great quarterbacks playing at such a high level at the back end of the season. And why wouldn't they? They've been doing a fantastic job. By the way, did you guys see that Tyler Van Dyke entered the NCAA transfer portal last night? There's a bunch of guys entering the transfer portal. It's moving, it's shaking. Even the quarterback from Kansas State, and you have Will Rogers. Guys are moving all over. And the crazy thing is, these guys are moving around, and they have a 1 year of eligibility. So you can look at a player like Will Rogers. He played 4 straight seasons. He has 12,000 yards, and he has 1 more year of eligibility considering the COVID year. So that's pretty wild when you look at the transfer portal. Okay, so you have Edwards, who has 800 yards and 11 touchdowns. Mindle, this guy, Milton, he is a problem. 100%, 655 yards, shined against Georgia Tech with 10 touchdowns. You have Lovett, who has 552 yards receiving. And then you have Lab McConkey. I didn't add him here because Jack Saint it has more yards than him. But, of course, he is going to be a vertical threat as well. 472 yards with 4 touchdowns. And then one of the best, if not the best player in all of college football. If Alabama doesn't have Jalen Milroe, if he's not the best player in college football, then probably Brock Bowers is, and certainly at the tight end position. He didn't play against Georgia Tech. I think they're saving him, and rightfully so. He had the tightrope surgery. He'll be good to go. 661 yards and 6 touchdowns. And you want a player like Brock Bowers to absolutely be 100% healthy in a game like this. You want to get Georgia at their best. And for a guy like that, I mean, think about how hard he's worked to get back to this point. I can't wait to see him play. He's a great kid and an absolute monster. And just as Kirby Smart said yesterday, look, he's like, don't talk to me about playing in Auburn. Whatever the score is, that's a challenging place. Remember, Auburn was leading Georgia in that game when they played earlier on in the season at Jordan-Hare Stadium 10-0. We continue to look at the Georgia Bulldogs stats. Smith at the safety position has 63 tackles and 4 interceptions, which leads the team. Modern has 60 tackles and 3 sacks. You don't see an overwhelming amount of sacks from one particular guy on Georgia's team. They kind of have a variety of guys that will get to the quarterback. But these are kind of the telling stats when you look to the individuals. Now, look at this, okay? I quickly ran through this, and there's some other statistics that if you guys want me to add, I'll put them on throughout the week so we can look back and forth at this. But this is interesting, okay? You guys ready for this? These are the side-by-side comparisons on the statistics that, I put this together in like 10 minutes. So it is what it is. But if you guys want to see more stats or there's a stat that you guys want to see, I will add that. Okay, so again, thank you very much. I'll get to my callers in just a minute. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here on Tuesday, November 28th, just a couple days away from the SEC championship game. Okay, so look at this right here. Okay, side by side, the the check mark represents the team that has the edge. Georgia on the right, Alabama on the left. Okay, so let's kind of walk you through it. So the scoring offense up at the top left for Alabama, number 17 overall. Compare that to the right scoring offense for Georgia, number 9 overall. Total offense, number 48 for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and total offense for the Georgia Bulldogs, number 6 overall, right? So they have the edge in that category. And I think that when you look to these two teams head to head, Georgia certainly has the edge in these categories, but Alabama simply playing at a really high level, especially in the back end. Okay, so passing offense, that's where I'm at. Alabama is number 57 overall. Passing offense for Georgia, number 8 overall. Passing defense, Alabama, number 15 overall. Georgia, again, number 12 overall. Rushing offense, number 44 for Alabama. Rushing offense for Georgia, number 30 overall. Rushing defense for Alabama, number 23. And that's where they have the edge over Georgia, but just by 3 spots. And I think a lot had to do with even last week as Auburn was able to rush for 244 yards on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Third down percentage, Alabama's been money on third down. They really weren't last week, as they were 6 of 16 against Auburn, but still number 12 overall in the country. Compare that to Georgia, number 2 overall. Red zone offense, Alabama number 10 overall, number 19 for Georgia. They have the edge there. And then I was interested to see these two stats at the bottom of the screen. Okay, check this out. Red zone defense, number 55 overall for Alabama. Okay, that's not very good, in my opinion, but look at Georgia's red zone defense, number 111 overall. That's crazy. They're at the back of the bus in that. But on the flip side, this next stat is really scary. Now, I know that Alabama's offensive line has really been improving. In fact, Caleb Downs, who was a freshman at Alabama, was the co-SEC offensive or freshman of the week. I mean, the guy is really transformed, and you saw that footage, and I'll add that to the screen as we take the calls about the Alabama offensive line working without their helmets. I thought that was a really great shot of these guys getting after it. I'll play that in just a second. But Alabama this season, they've allowed 39 sacks, which is among the worst in all of college football. Literally, the 126 teams or whatever, they're at the bottom. And then on the other side, you have the Georgia Bulldogs. They've only allowed 10 sacks. So I kind of go back to the first stat that I had when you look to the individual stats, and you kind of zoom in to the bottom left right here when you have Dallas Turner and Chris Broswell. Broswell has 8 sacks and Turner has 9 sacks. I think it's instrumental that you're able to get to the quarterback in a game like this. You have to be able to get to Carson Beck, and you have to put pressure on him. I think Georgia does a great job spreading the football around. You know that Brock Bowers is going to be good to go. You know that Ladd McConkey is going to be good to go. Schedule strength, I do have that as well, Silver Surfer. I will add that in just a second. I do have the overall resumes, but I was just kind of going back and forth with some of these statistics that I've added this morning. So I appreciate you guys joining me today on the show. I'll leave this up on the screen so you guys can take a look at that. And I will add scheduler strength as well. That's a good one. I will write that down. And with that said, we move to the phone lines. We have a 574. We have Demetrius. We have a 256. We have an 850 and a 404. I will get to you guys right now on Bama Football on YouTube. 574. Let's go.
How we doing?
Hey, welcome to the show. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
My name is Derek. I'm from Indiana.
All right, Derek, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Welcome to the show, man. Is Tommy Rees going to be a Hoosiers football coach, or is that just kind of smoke?
He better not, man. They're going to be disappointed. I think at the beginning of the year we were all pretty frustrated with the play calling, with the lack of creativity. But I think once we were able to get Milroe running, we were able to have actual design running plays for him. I think that really opened up the offense. And, this Georgia game, it feels eerily similar to 2 years ago when everyone was talking about how we were going to get blown out and how we had no chance. It just feels very similar. And I just have this weird feeling we're going to get it done on Saturday. And it's, in my opinion, I think it's going to come down to, you saw it even in the Auburn game. Like, dude, just run. Like, I know he was running more and he has been running, but ever since we started running more and he actually started going instead of waiting, our offense has been clicking. And, and we've taken way less sacks. So, I think a lot of those sacks that you were talking about is just him just sitting in the pocket, waiting forever. Yeah, but I hope Tommy. We really need someone to stay. We need consistency in our coaching.
Yeah, and I don't think that Tommy Rees. Look, I'm sure he's flattered to get a head coaching offer, and I'm sure that his agent has been hit up by a couple different schools, and he will going forward. But I think, and look, I don't know Tommy Rees, but I know that he's a young coach, and what an opportunity to get mentored by Coach Sabin for a couple years before you go somewhere else. I don't think he's really had enough time to really be under Saban. You want to be under Saban for at least 2 years, maybe 3. Can you imagine if Tommy Rees is under Coach Saban for at least 3 years and then hits the coaching scene at the age of 35? My goodness. He is going to have any type of program, that he wants to go to. So I think in terms of that, stay here, work on these guys. Plus, look at the arsenal that you have coming back next year, right? So everybody just, I think it would be, the wrong move. And I think everybody has been saying the same thing about Tommy Rees to Indiana. I think that when you look to this particular game, you see all the check marks on the Georgia side. You see, that Georgia's the number 1 team in college football. You see that they're riding a 29-game winning streak. And I think it is kind of similar to, a couple of the times that these two teams have played. And I think there's a lot of people that have already written off Alabama, the way that they, escaped Auburn in a rivalry game. The way the Alabama season was inconsistent at the beginning of the year. People still don't believe in Jalen Milroe. That's fine. They can have their own opinions. But the truth is, this is a very dangerous team. And Kirby Smart knows the challenges that Jalen Milroe is going to present on Saturday, 100%. If he goes into Milroe monster mode and he just completely takes over the game, Kirby Smart said it yesterday. It reminds him of Lamar Jackson at the college level. And he was like, no disrespect to Tim Tebow, but these are completely different players. Jalen Milroe is an X factor 100%. You look to Georgia's team, what they're able to do on the offensive side. I think the play of Carson Beck has been fantastic. Brock Bowers will certainly be an X factor in that game. What other themes are you kind of looking at with this game? Do you feel that it's helped that Alabama has had a lot of this kind of reverse rat poison? We don't believe in you this season that has helped them get to this point?
I do think so, with the whole Lank thing. I think that loss really brought the team together to try and just really bind together, come together, and to get this season on the right track. And I think the whole reverse rat poison, everyone doubting us, and again, it just feels eerily similar to 2 years ago. And I think you're right. Milroe's the Joker card in this game.
Yeah.
He's the one thing that you can't really prepare for and you can't really account for.
Yeah.
I mean, if he would just, I mean, first of all, his passing has gotten so much better night and day from the beginning of the season to now. I mean, even in the Auburn game and his intermediate passing, he's gotten so much better. I was at that game, and it was, I mean, it's night and day from his passing. So if you would just run when that opens up, don't think about it, don't wait, just go. And I think you're right, Monster Milrow mode. I mean, you can't really stop. Even if you spy, you saw Auburn spied several times on him, and the spy didn't even touch him. So yeah, I think that's. I think. I don't know what the score is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say Alabama 31, Georgia 27 type game.
Yeah, I think that would be fair. I haven't checked the total points on that. Jarvis here, if you're in the comment box, let us know what the total on the game is. But yeah, I think there's going to be, points on the board. Absolutely. I think that, the winning team probably has 35 points or something like that in this game. So anyways, Derek, I appreciate you calling from Indiana, man. Please save the number. Please call again. I appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right. Next up, 256. We'll jump right into it. All right. Thanks for calling. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with and where are you calling in from?
This is Daryl from Huntsville.
Hey, what's up, Daryl? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show. Take it away.
Man, I had to call into the greatest show on YouTube. I mean, you got all the facts. You got everything laid out. I mean, you got all the stats. Man, you just awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I wanted to put together this graphic to kind of show the storylines of this game. I think we all know that Georgia is clearly the favorite and all eyes kind of, on the Bulldogs and what they've done. And even Coach Saban, I mean, he was very complimentary of Kirby Smart yesterday, and rightfully so. I mean, he knew that Kirby Smart was going to be at this level at some point. And going to Georgia, they have all the pieces to play at this level. And to see the Bulldogs doing this at this level, 29 games in a row, really incredible, no matter what program you're with. So when the stats are laid out, Georgia is the clear favorite, and they have all the pressure, 1,000,000%. And that's kind of the thing that I want to see in this particular game is if Alabama is able to take it to this Georgia team that is really, the clear number one in college football. What is the playoff committee going to do if Alabama is able to beat Georgia? But anyways, those are kind of my thoughts. I appreciate you joining the show. What's on your mind when you look to Alabama versus Georgia?
When I look at Alabama versus Georgia, the first thing I look at is, again, I'm a disciple from the old school. You got to run the ball. You got to stop the run. You got to be able to run the ball. You can't. I'm not talking about 2 yards. You got to get at least 4 yards a carry. That's a telltale sign. We can do that. We're in the game. You got to be able to keep them all balanced because Kirby's defense, they're going to blitz somebody every down. Every down. They bring pressure every down. So we got to be able to pick that up. We got to replace when the guy blitzes. You got to replace him and get him open instead of the 2-yard pass. You got to put the ball on the money where it's 5 yards, 7 yards. Run after the catch. Georgia can't be beat. We saw that when they played Auburn earlier this year. And we also saw the fact that they played Georgia Tech. I was shocked that Georgia Tech actually moved the ball on them. So that shows you that they're not, I don't think they're as strong as they were 2 years ago when we first played them. But they're a very good team. And the thing for us is, again, we gotta minimize the penalties. We got to minimize the mental mistakes. That bad snap that's been killing us all year long from the first game. We got to get rid of that. All the little stuff that Nick said, Coach Saban said that we got to clean up. It needs to be cleaned up if we're gonna have a chance. Because I think, again, all these blown coverages. But I believe that if we hadn't played our best game yet. This is our chance to play our best game. I believe.
That's a really great point. I don't think that Alabama has played their best game yet. And that's a scary fact for the rest of the world of college football. I mean, you look to how this team has won some of the bigger games and the games that they've come back. I mean, they really haven't played just a solid 4 quarters of football. I think maybe they have, but they still just haven't played their best overall game, right? There's been like a quarter or two. There's been a couple things that just haven't gone well. But the one thing about this team that I love is the fact of that they have resiliency, that they have fight, that they have hunger. I think a lot of the rat poison, I think the reverse rat poison that this team has had, and what I mean by that is nobody has thought that this team was going to be at this point. Nobody thought that this team would have a shot to get in the playoffs. So many teams wrote this team off, and you see that still in the college football playoff rankings with them sitting at 8 because people still don't believe in this Alabama team. So there's so much at stake in terms of this particular game, the SEC title game, but I think even going forward, because people want to see, can Coach Saban, does he still have his fastball? Clearly, he's proven he does. This team is young. This team is now playing like juniors. This is a great opportunity for Alabama to prove, look, we are still among the greats in the college football world, and going up against number 1 Georgia. I mean, it's must-watch TV. And let me talk to you about this, Daryl, and I'll get to my calls in just a second. Okay. All eyes are going to be on this SEC championship game. Where do you think the TV ratings are going to be? Highest stat, okay? Is it going to be on Oregon and Washington? I think that's a definitely interesting game, 100%. Is it going to be on Michigan and Iowa? Not necessarily. I mean, Michigan's a 23.5-point favorite. Is it going to be on Florida State and Louisville? Absolutely not. Is it going to be on Texas and Oklahoma State? No, that's a game that you have on your 4-back screen, but all eyes are going to be on Alabama versus Georgia. These two teams have played in a national title before. These two teams have the best coaches in all of college football. These two teams are playing at the highest level in college football. This is an early playoff game right here that's taking place on Saturday. Final remarks, Daryl, on your thoughts on Alabama and Georgia. Go ahead.
Well, my final remarks is that's a great point, Kyle. This is going to be must-see TV. Because, again, other than the only thing probably to be rated higher than Alabama, Georgia would be overweight midget wrestling. So when we look at the game, when it all gets down to it, my final score is Alabama 20, Georgia 10.
Wow.
That's my that's my score.
Low
Alabama 20, Georgia 10.
Yeah, that would be the way under, because Jarvis is saying,
I think it'll be a grit. I think it's gonna be a grit and grind out type of game.
Yeah. I mean, these defenses are built for it for sure. Daryl, I appreciate you calling from Huntsville, man. Take it easy.
All right, always my pleasure, Kyle.
Absolutely, man. All right. Daryl out in Huntsville. We got an 850-331 and Demetrius, hang on tight. I'll get to you guys right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Overall, I mean, these teams are built on the defensive side. I mean, there's so much to kind of go over when you look to this particular team, and how the defense in a game like this should certainly shine, and you look to impact players on each side of the ball and which guys are going to stand out, and the X factors not only on the offensive side but on the defensive side as well. What a spotlight time for a freshman like Caleb Downs to step up. You know that Terran Arnold rises up in big time games. Still waiting for that big play from Kool-Aid that we necessarily really haven't seen, kind of almost like a pick six or something like that. And then, of course, Dallas Turner and Chris Broswell, those guys have been so steady the entire season. Let me ask you this inside the comment box. Any cause for concern with Will Reichard? Honestly, because when I look to Will Reichard, I mean, he missed 2 field goals against LSU. He missed a field goal in this last game against Auburn. And I think the next points that he has will make him the all-time leading scorer in all of college football. I don't necessarily think there's a cause for concern, but something's going on because the guy has been absolutely money at the beginning of the season, and now towards the back end, you kind of go out there and you start to wonder kind of what's going on. And I say that because special teams is going to play a role absolutely in this sort of game. All right, we go back to the phone lines with the 850. Let's start. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson.
Kyle.
Who I'm on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, it's Parker from Pensacola.
Hey, what's up, Parker? I appreciate you joining, man. Welcome to the show.
Oh my God, that 4th and 31 on Saturday. I mean, that was just I mean, I look back at that play on YouTube and go, did that happen? Like,
Right.
did that happen?
Yeah.
But going into this Georgia game, whatever happens, huge Alabama fan, whatever happens, this team has come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to give the credit to the team and the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you got to be the best, you got to beat the best.
100%.
You know? And we just have to play 4 quarters of football on Saturday. And do you think going in as the underdog on Saturday, do you think this is making this team hungry to want to win? You kind of get where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that, like I've been saying, I mean the doubt that people continue to have in this Alabama team continues to fuel this team inside the locker room. I mean, I don't think that Coach Saban has ever had more to work with from the media, from kind of a negative standpoint, than this year ever coaching Alabama. Honestly, you have the bigger voices of college football, the Joel Klatz, or people with a bigger megaphone that have said that they don't believe in Alabama. I think even Colin Cowherd recently said that Jalen Milroe is an average quarterback. So people continue to harp on different aspects of Alabama football, and that has fueled the locker room. And these guys have really come together to prove everybody wrong. I mean, the let a naysayer know, the Lank mentality, what a great motto. And they started that way at the beginning of the season, and they've continued to prove the naysayers wrong. And they have a great opportunity, a tremendous opportunity to erase all that playing Georgia. I mean, look at this resume of the Georgia Bulldogs. When you look to this overall resume, it's outstanding, right? 29 game winning streak, 3-0 against top 25. They have the number 58 strength of schedule. They have a plus 210 to win the college football title. I think the highest above that is Michigan. Number 6 total offense, number 9 total defense. The play of Brock Bowers when he's healthy. Against Auburn, Brock Bowers put on one of the greatest performances that I've seen this year in college football, honestly. So Georgia has all the pressure. This is a great opportunity for Alabama, and people have continued to doubt, and Alabama has another chance to go silence them for sure. What else is on your mind, Parker?
Now, do you think, I mean, I know stuff has to happen a lot, but do you think that if we get the job done on Saturday that we deserve to be in the college football playoff because we beat the number 1 team in the country? Well, basically the number 1 team in the country for the past, I don't know how many years, I lost count.
Yeah, I mean, just give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up this video for everybody to check out. I do believe that Alabama does. If they're able to beat the Georgia Bulldogs, then 100%. I think that the reason is because you go in and you beat the number 1 team that has been ranked in college football, for the last several weeks at the number 1 spot. You saw the number 2 team fell, and that was Ohio State. And you looked at Georgia's overall, and that's why I think that Alabama gets into the playoffs, is because the overall resume of Georgia is just so strong. Now, I'm curious to figure out if Alabama is able to beat Georgia, does that put Georgia in as well? And then you have 2 teams from the SEC inside the college football playoffs. I mean, I think that could certainly happen, despite the logjam of all these teams kind of at the top, because I think at the end of the day that this game on Saturday will showcase that these are the 2 best football teams in college football. So 2 teams getting in, I think is realistic from the SEC. I know that the committee has been heavy on the Big Ten and the Pac-12, but I kind of like the chances of, Alabama certainly getting in if they're able to beat Georgia. And I do like Georgia's chances as well, just because of their strength of their resume.
35-31 Bama.
35. I love it. I love that score. Honestly, I mean, that goes over the over, and that would be amazing. Did you guys check this out right here? Like, okay, this video that's playing, the players yesterday, Alabama sent this footage in. The offensive line, they were practicing without the helmets. Such a great B-roll clip. And I think if you keep your head up from an offensive line standpoint, you have a better idea of it has something to do with technique. So our offensive line coaches get inside the comment box, but definitely something to check out. Anything else, Parker, before we move to our next caller?
That's it. I gotta head to work now, but I just saw y'all go live and was wanted to jump in on this. So
I appreciate you, man.
We just got to go out and play big boy. We just got to go out and play big boy football.
All right, man. Take it easy, Parker. Call again next time, man.
All right, roll Tide.
Roll Tide to you. That was Parker, Pensacola. All right, we got a 3-3-1 coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys joining us. Whether you're an Alabama fan, a Georgia fan, or just a college football fan in general, hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Tons to check out when you look to not only our YouTube channel, but, the transfer portal has been heating up, and it's exciting to track which players are getting into the transfer portal. And I know that you guys, everybody saw the footage yesterday from Texas A&M when they hired Mike Elko from Duke, and everyone kind of gets around, and afterwards they're kind of doing like the seance stuff. Like, this is the thing. This is my deal on Texas A&M. Look, you can absolutely win there, 1,000,000%. You have all the money in the world, but one of the things that the AD says, they want to change their culture, and they want to change kind of the way that people view Texas A&M. And I think that people looked at Texas A&M and they laugh at Texas A&M. Doing stuff like that makes you laugh at Texas A&M. The whole like Aggie cheerleaders, the guys like doing the stuff on the side, that like those type of things, I get it. There's a reason for tradition, but some of those things need to be altered because that is going to hurt you recruiting wise. 1,000,000%. I get it. You can buy all the recruits you want, but overall from a program standpoint, right now the relevancy is you are a laughing stock, and doing stuff like that is laughable. So changing that stuff from the ground up. I mean, that was a great opportunity yesterday. Just like, look, this is our head coach and we're going forward with it. Not this whole like back and forth. I mean, that was a bad look. So, and everybody's still laughing at them, right? So that was really strange. You imagine Nick Saban after doing like the whole dance and stuff, like that stuff don't do that. Anyways, we go back to the phone lines with the 331. Hey, I appreciate you calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, I'm calling in from Chicago, Illinois. How you doing, Kyle?
Good, man. I missed your name. We've talked before. I know this.
Yeah. My name is Delvin.
All right, Delvin.
Listen,
what's up, man? I appreciate you being here.
No problem. I just want to say this too. Sometimes we get into statistics and we get into players. I think it's a philosophy difference and why Georgia now is number one and Alabama has sort of slipped. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. It's a blue collar versus white collar. You see, the thing about Kirby Smart, I guarantee you when the 5-star player hit Georgia and hit that football field, first thing Kirby Smart says, you're not bigger than the team. If you're not here to win championship for the Georgia Bulldogs, you can go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple years with Alabama, we always build up our players. Bryce Young, Will Anderson, going number one, first round. We're not hearing about that Alabama team, that unity. This is the first year in the last, I can say, 3 or 4 years, where I'm hearing people talk about Alabama team and not the individuals. So here's the warning that I'm trying to give all out. And Kyle, you're good at it too. I'm a huge Alabama fan, but all of a sudden, everyone's blowing up the quarterback. Jalen Milroe, like he's a superstar. He's not. If you look at his technique, if you look at the decisions he's making on the field, he's a young, budding superstar who next year, he's going to be Heisman Trophy. He's going to be looking at all these awards and everything. But let's keep him humble. You see, when we start talking about how well he runs, how well he doing on the field, you see, it goes to his head. Like, this is what Nick Saban is talking about, rat poisoning. Let's stop blowing these Alabama, like Kool-Aid. I hear people talk about Kool-Aid haven't done anything this year that I can really just sit there and say he should go number one in the draft. So I'm more talking about the philosophy of Alabama getting back to that blue collar. Like when Kirby was at Alabama, notice the difference between the way Alabama used to play versus how they play with the finesse now. If you look at the Georgia Bulldogs really plays like Alabama used to play.
fundamental, hard-nosed, straight-up, mistake-free football. Do you agree with that?
I think when you look to the blue collar look, I think everybody's in favor of that, and that's kind of the mantra that Nate Oates has taken with the basketball team. But I think with football, you're not going to get that anymore because of NIL. I mean, look at the chains that these guys are wearing at the press conferences. Look at the chains that these guys have. These guys have so much money right now that it's never going to be that blue collar overall mentality. That's why I think it's so amazing that Coach Saban's able to get these guys to play as a team rather than individuals. Still, even with all this money floating around in front of these guys, because there was a time where these guys didn't have those NIL opportunities. Now everybody has them. So I think the whole blue collar thing has certainly left the building, but you can still have that mantra and that mentality to work hard and play for something big. Now, it's going to be interesting next year to see how Alabama fares. Granted, they've had some success this year. Now, they haven't reached their ultimate goal, and that's winning a national title game. But, can you imagine? I mean, if this team does put together a national title game, all the rat poison that's going to be on this team next year. So, I get it. You hype up a Jalen Milroe because you see the transformation of him. Is he a finished product? Absolutely not. We all know that. I can't wait to see where he goes from that. People, I think, are just excited about him as a player and what he's been able to do. And I think that people who have really been integrated in watching Alabama football, I mean, that 4th and 31, that was a great opportunity to be like, yo, can you throw the football or not? The dude puts it on a rope, 4th and 31. That silenced a lot of people. What else you got, Delvin?
Well, but that's what I'm saying, exactly. But I think that, if we look at Auburn, 2 touchdowns was called back. But I just really want everyone to look at the philosophy, last year, we had the number 1 quarterback in the country. We had one of the top defensive players in the country. The year before that, the same thing, But remember when Mac Jones was quarterback, how he just really had this straight up approach. I'm going out there to do a job and do a job well.
Yeah.
I'm not going out here about, posing after I score a touchdown. It was about basic. I'm out here to get the job done. Yeah. It seemed like when Alabama, it seemed like the humble teams are the ones who win championships. The ones that we underestimate. That's why I'm so excited about this year's team, because in a way, a lot of people put us as the underdog. So if we can go out there and play head to head, because it's SEC football. When you have SEC football teams playing each other, throw everything out the window. It's even. As far as I'm concerned, Alabama and Georgia is even. It's the Jalen Milroe hype. The fact that I'm just saying, let's slow up on this kid. Let's let him develop mentally. It's not just physical; it's mental too. Before we turn him into the next whoever, So that's all I have for you.
Well, I appreciate you calling up from Chicago. Please call again. I enjoy the dialogue that you bring to the show, honestly. So, Delvin, call again, and appreciate you, man.
No problem.
All right. Delvin calling in from Chicago. Next up, we got Demetrius. Hey, Demetrius, thanks for being patient, man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Kyle. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide team, man. What's on your mind? Take it away.
Yeah, I can respect some aspects of that last caller. He hit on some couple good points. There's a couple things I respectfully disagree with, because it ain't in a given year we can have like 90% of our coaching staff gone. And that's a big knock. They don't know the team have to. They were coordinators, next man up on their coordinators. We said to replace everybody, and that's just the way it's been for us for the last few years. And one coach can't get to every position group and every player to get them properly coached up. Well, you're going to have the coach. We see it time and time again. Coaches coming up, they're just looking for, that's just a resume, someone on their resume so they can move to the next job. But back to the Georgia. I'm convinced, Kyle, that Kyle Henderson University can play Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, your Clemsons, your Texas, and get beat 77-0. But lo and behold, they play Alabama, and the windows of heaven open. It's sent down from a dove. They'll score 24 points to have the best game of their life. and it frustrates it. I mean, regardless win, lose, or draw Saturday, hey, them Georgia plays a cupcake schedule and for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Saban decided to take on the challenge and play a top Power 5 team during at the beginning of the year to see where you at. Them Ohio State and Georgias ain't gonna do that because they ain't want to take the chance of getting beat.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you got the stats up right here on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bunch of baloney because simple fact, look who Georgia. They've been practicing all year. Clemson pulled that same nonsense over there in the ACC all year long. Ain't play nobody. Practicing, looking to see what. We in the dog fight because Kyle Henderson University coming in every week with their best shot.
Mm-hmm.
I said and said again, and I don't know I don't know what the score gonna be. I look back. I can't on the 2021 SEC championship and even the national championship game. We just didn't have no players. Ajay Hall, Javon Baker, Jaleel Billingsley.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I wish them young men well. They moved on.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't pick up the mantle where they own social media all year long about playing. Now it's your time to shine. Bill O'Brien had plays dialed up for Georgia.
Yeah.
End of discussion. Now all the other teams, Bill, I drive a truck. I pick your furniture up and move you anywhere in the country you need to go to, Bill. But he had plays dialed up to beat Georgia, and we had them beat both times.
Mm-hmm.
And you say what you want to about Nick Saban has had to change his coaching philosophy. It ain't up in the players' face. You don't have these young men are not the same no more. We can just be in their face. In NIL deal and all this transfer portal, you can do anything you want to. Let's attribute that to Nick Saban. All this, the way you look at it, all this attributed to Nick Saban trying to stop Alabama. Like my niece tell me, cut the crap, Uncle Darryl. Cut the crap. All this is because of Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I'm back to the game, I believe it's gonna have to be another 2021 SEC championship. Jameson Williams, somebody gonna have to show out. Now we this not like the national championship game 2021. We got some freshmen, underclassmen that come in. They waiting, chomping at the bit to get in there and show what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Reese, now's your time. Hey, they pay you a good salary. You at the right program. Now's the time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see because Miller, Law, they can create problems. I do believe our back end is kind of shaky with Key.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of shaky with him. Malachi, if you get him, he can. But our back end can hold up, in my opinion, against Georgia better than anybody in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And the trenches is where I want to see Keenan and Otis wreak havoc, and everybody play with proper discipline. And like Coach Sean said Sunday on the show, which Jalen Milroe gonna show up? Is it Peyton Manning gonna show up, or like I said yesterday, SEC Championship 2018 Jalen Hurts?
Mm-hmm.
Look, and let's remember. Let's go down memory lane. Let's not act like Kirby Smart was just. Oh yeah, he was a top tier defensive coordinator. But Kirby Smart got burnt by them same quarterbacks like Jalen Milroe plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
You check the numbers. There were some teams that put some 40 points up on the Kirby Smart defense.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not just play like Kirby Smart with this quarterback whispering. No, look what Johnny Manziel done to him. Didn't have an answer for him.
Mm-hmm.
So get that thought out your mind. Kirby Smart can be done in. He can be done in, and he know it. Ain't no need him trying to hide from it. I don't care what win. Like I say, win, lose, or draw. Alabama is still live rent free in everybody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking for some player gonna have to step up. I hate during the year they didn't establish number one running back or somebody they can key on. But Jalen, to me, the game all rests in the quarterback hands. And like if Peyton Manning show up, we might even be in for a long day. But if the Jalen Milroe show up, that we know he can be, he causes too much of a problem. Georgia does not have the athletes to really, and Kirby Smart have never been able to contain a quarterback on that level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though he beat Deshaun Watson the first time, look what Deshaun Watson done to him, Alabama, that first national championship.
Mm-hmm.
He torched him.
Mm-hmm.
If it weren't for a couple special team plays, game would have went another way.
Mm-hmm.
So cut the crap with this Kirby Smart. He's level-headed, and hey, when you play over there in the SEC East, that's why your Floridas and Tennessees, Josh Heupel and all these. What? Y'all get out here and play with all y'all heart with y'all tearing down goalposts. Why ain't y'all throwing no goalposts against Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to lay down. You want to put your bones in to get your raise. You want to get your raise off of Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that's all I got. I'm waiting. I'm waiting patiently Saturday. I'm waiting after the game, after the young men win, so I can go troll some Georgia websites, Uncle Lou. I mean, when did Georgia become a dynasty? What is this dynasty nonsense with these Clemsons in Georgia? Y'all win a few national championships. Get past number 10 and get to talking about that. I mean,
hey, Demetrius, I got to move to my next caller, man, but I appreciate you, man, I'll catch up with you next time, okay? All right, roll tide to you, man. All right, Demetrius calling up. He was hot, man. And look, the thing about the dynasty, like he was saying, is like, when did they become a dynasty? Well, they have won 2 in a row. And that's kind of like what's at stake when you look to these particular teams playing this weekend, because I don't think that when you look to the rest of the college football world, I don't think there's a team other than Alabama that can beat Georgia. So, Georgia gets into the playoffs and Alabama doesn't, then I think it's, Georgia to win. I think that Georgia's a better team than the rest of the field in college football other than Alabama. And I think that these two teams, this is the college football national title taking place this Saturday. Who knows? I don't know how the playoffs are going to shake out. I wouldn't be shocked, I said, if 2 teams from the SEC don't make it into the playoffs. And if they do make it in the playoffs, they're not going to be seated on the same side. They're not going to play again right away. So who knows? Maybe they play in the title game again down in Houston. That would be amazing. We go back to the phone lines with the 816. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle. I'm Tyson. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. And I know they got the 816 area code, lived in Kansas City for a long time.
I got you, man. Yeah, welcome to the show. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I want to, first of all, tell you how much I appreciate your respect for the caller. And you're very courteous, and I appreciate the humility, and I love the stats and all the screenshots you do for that. I think that's pretty cool.
Cool. Thank you very much, man. Go ahead.
Things I wanted to. Yep. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be conscientious of the time. I wanted to talk about Tommy Rees for a second and ask you and kind of pose a question. So. I think Nick Saban is probably pretty smart about who he's hiring, and I don't think he's looking to just hire guys to go on to another team. But I think he's probably looking for a young offensive coordinator, maybe that he could groom to fill his shoes one day. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think about maybe that might have been some of his thought pattern behind hiring Tommy Rees? He really talks about his intelligence, his organization, his humility, and being teachable. And I kind of, I don't know. What about you? Would you want Coach Saban to find his replacement? I would, hands down.
Yeah, I think when you look far out, is that going to happen? I don't know. Who knows? There's a couple things. Like, whoever replaces Saban, I think there'll be kind of, because you never want to be the guy after the guy. It's always like that third coach, unless they made just as like monumental hire, unless it was like, a Lane Kiffin or something like that immediately. But who knows? I think that with Tommy Rees, number one, I would be completely shocked if he does, go to Indiana. I'm sure there's a lot of programs that have called him. He's a rising coach, super intelligent. The job that he's done for this Alabama team, one of the finalists for the Broyles Award, but he's too young. I think he needs to stay under Coach Saban and develop that mentorship. I remember talking to Coach Loxley one year, many years back, and I was like, Coach, what have you learned from Coach Saban? And this was following the time that he was at New Mexico, and things went sideways for him there. And this was before he went to Maryland. And he was like, I could honestly write a book on the things that I've learned for Coach Saban. And that was just during like a 2-year span, right? So you imagine being that young and be able to absorb as much as possible from Coach Saban. And plus, I mean, he's making a ton here. I think he's making like 2.5 or something like that as an assistant coach. So, and the other thing on top of that is you look to next year's offense. I know there's guys departing on the defensive side and they're going to have to replace, but I mean, I could just name a couple sophomores off the top of my head. Jalen Milroe.
Haynes,
there you go.
5-star quarterback in the backdrop, way back there.
Yeah. So I think it's people are now starting to, appreciate kind of the job that Tommy Rees has done, because there for a while it was a little bit bumpy, and I get it. It's taken some time. He's the first guy, following Bill O'Brien, and there's, you're taking over a completely different offense, completely different quarterback, completely different players at this level, and it's completely different from Notre Dame. Like this isn't Notre Dame. Like you have 5 stars all over the place, and you have NFL players on your team. So that's kind of my take on that. What else you got when you look to this Alabama and Georgia game coming up, Tyson?
Yeah, so I wanted to piggyback on the aspect that all these glamorous coaching jobs are not all that. Like you look at SC, it's not a good place to go. Texas A&M is probably not a good place to go. And if Tommy Rees just hangs back and is humble and stays under Nick Saban for a long time, maybe he would be a good. You're right about being the guy after the guy. That would be really tough, but it's going to take a humble guy and a smart guy to fill Nick Saban's shoes. And it's not, grass is always greener on the other side going to the next promotion, but a lot of those promotions end up in like a noose or a hanging, a lynching, And going to Georgia, I'm definitely scared about the game. I'll piggyback on something the guy said about Kirby Smart and his blue-collar mentality. I have a great Kirby Smart quote. He was talking to his team last year, and he said, hey, if you want to be great, and if you want to be great for the University of Georgia, and if you want to play on the A team, you're going to have to learn how to eat off the floor. And it reminded me of Jesus' parable of the Syrophoenician woman who's eating the breadcrumbs off the floor. And, anyway, it's kind of like, humility is definitely the road to success, and that's one thing I really can appreciate about Kirby Smart and his program. And he has results now, and that's and that's another thing is I remember when Kirby Smart I married into Huntsville, Alabama to Alabama football. I mean, I'm from the Northwest, grown and raised in Oregon, and was a Duck fan in my childhood, and but really, my father-in-law went to Alabama and my brother-in-law went to Alabama. And so, if I wasn't going to talk about the tough things that you talk about with your in-laws, you learn a lot about Alabama football real quick. And it was really cool that came in with Coach Sabin. But Mark Ingram remember when they were doing real good, when Mark Ingram was running back, I remember that pride comes for a fall. Mark Ingram said in an interview, man, we're real tough to beat. And right as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, I love Mark so much. But that right there is scary. Like as soon as you start getting that kind of, confidence, then they lost shortly after that. And they had to rebuild the program again. And I think Georgia's right there at that peak. They could, they could follow this game. They could. And but I love how this is a rebuilding year for Alabama. I really believe it's been a rebuilding year from the very beginning. I believe Nick Saban, he's smart as all get up. You're gonna see offense. This is something my father-in-law always said about Bear Bryant, because he watched Bear Bryant. We got footballs with Bear Bryant's signature on them and everything. And he said, the best teams you're going to save your best offensive plays for your toughest games at the end of the schedule. Yeah. And I'll bet you anything that all that poor play calling that we saw early on in the season, it was planned. I'm telling you, vanilla offense. You got to win the SEC West with vanilla offense if you're going to play Kirby Smart in the SEC championship game, because Kirby Smart, you can't give him, he already is going to know your number. He's going to know everything about you, and you got to make him think that you don't know how to throw those short slants or those tight ends. I'm guessing we're going to see Oots. I'm guessing we're going to see the other tight end,
Amari Nyblack?
I just drew blank. Yes, Nyblack.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing we're going to see maybe potentially 2 tight ends, and I bet you we're going to see Justin Haynes in the game catching some short passes, and we're going to see some running back catches. I really believe it. We're gonna throw them off there. We're going to make them think that their head's going to be spinning because they're not going to be expecting the stuff we're going to bring. I hope they're not listening to the show right now.
Hey, Tyson, well, I appreciate you calling in from Huntsville, man. Thank you very much for calling the show. I appreciate your commentary, and I'll catch up with you next time, okay?
God bless you.
All right, man.
Thank you again.
Same to you, man. Take it easy, Tyson.
Have fun.
All
Roll
right.
Tide.
All right, roll Tide to you. All right, that was Tyson out in Huntsville. I think when you look to this particular game, I mean, there's so many storylines, and I think I might do my next show kind of on the X factors and maybe some major themes that are emerging in this game when you kind of look to the overall scope of this particular matchup. But I put this graphic up on the screen again so you can kind of see the team side by side. And if there's another stat that you guys want to see added, please let me know inside the comment box. I'm going to take one more call, and then if I didn't get to you guys, please remember that I'm on live every single day from 9 a.m. To around 10 a.m. Sometimes, depending on my schedule, I'll kind of stretch out the show. But truth be told, I do have a haircut. I go to this barber here in Tuscaloosa, Rivera's. Go check them out. I go to 2 barbershops. I have 2 barbershops here in Tuscaloosa that I kind of rotate to. But, I have my cut, and then I'm going to the university because I have more player interviews later on today. You get Tyler Booker, and then there's another player. I'll post those right here on Bama Football on YouTube, along with some other Georgia football player interviews on the YouTube channel. So I appreciate you guys supporting the channel throughout the week leading up to SEC Media Days. And then I'm leaving to Atlanta on Thursday, but I still will get my show on Thursday morning. And then I will be conducting my show on Friday from Atlanta and then going into the game. So I appreciate you guys. But this will be the last call for this day. So if you're online, I don't want you guys to wait on. I'll get with you guys next time. 334, you're up. I appreciate you being patient.
Hey, Kyle,
you're on the
what's up,
line
man?
with Kyle Henderson, who I'm on line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, what's up, man? It's Wes from Tallahassee again. How are you?
What's up, Wes? Wes from Tallahassee. The first time he called in, I have to say, I thought you said Tallahassee, but now as I learn more about Alabama, I know there's a Tallahassee. So anyways, I appreciate you joining the show. What's on your mind regarding the upcoming SEC championship game?
Yeah, man. So I'm going to Atlanta. I've got my tickets. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to listen to the beginning of your show, but I want to poke out. I want to point out the boogeyman, man, Brock Bowers. Like, what's our plan? I look at how we defend these kind of guys, and I don't know. We might need to bracket coverage him or something.
Mm-hmm.
But in my first call that I had with you, I mentioned Jalen Key, and still, man, I know you're watching him just like I am. The missed tackle in the Iron Bowl, the guy he hit, he ran into him and he still went into the end zone. I just don't understand. I guess Devontae Smith hasn't played enough to I guess warrant the start over him. But I'm kind of worried. I know that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to move him around. McConkey, the same thing. I think it comes down to how we play on defense. And as far as the offense goes, I think we need to kind of spread them out, kind of like we did with Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
Put the receivers all over the place, motions, all that kind of stuff. The stuff that we've developed throughout the season and done way better. But I just don't. I don't know, man. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but anytime I watch this kind of game with Georgia, for anybody that has elite receivers, they run rub routes. They run these routes that we just never cover. Like the flats are always open.
Mm-hmm.
I think Georgia really has to. Like we really need to figure out what we're doing with this guy, because if you cut the head off the snake, I think Brock Bowers is the head of the snake, to be honest with you. Now, their offensive line is very impressive that they have. So our defensive line has got to show up. We got to put some pressure in that guy's face.
The thing about it, okay, I'm going to ask you guys inside the comment box, okay? Here's a trivia question. This is today's trivia question. All right, how many times was Malik Neighbors, and I know he's a wide receiver, but how many times was Malik Neighbors targeted when LSU and Alabama played? I'll give you guys a few minutes to go over that. Okay, don't look it up. If you guys know, you know. I've said it multiple times on the show before. Okay, Malik Neighbors, how many times was he targeted? The reason I asked that is because, look, just like you were saying with, hey, that was a nice guess. It's not 18, but there you go. All right, so people listen. All right, 17 times. That was quick. Nice job. And the reason I bring that up is because in this world, and I like that stat, look, get the ball to the most dangerous player. And I think that if you are Kirby Smart and if you're looking at this particular game, you have to get Brock Bowers the football as many times as possible. He's eaten up Alabama before. You saw that how he was able to take over the game. If you really want to get scared, go watch the Auburn game when Georgia played Auburn. Fast forward through the first half and just watch the end of the third quarter and the fourth quarter. Honestly, it was probably one of the best performances of the entire season. He was making one-handed catches, contested catches across the middle of the field. The guy's almost unstoppable. So when you're a Malachi Moore, when you're Caleb Downs, when you're Jalen Key, and you're playing bracket coverage or you have a tight end like this, it's going to be very challenging. Coach Saban was asked about what do you do against a very difficult tight end. The guy poses a ton of threats in the way that Carson Beck has been playing. This is going to be absolutely a challenge for Alabama's defense. The thing about this, now Alabama necessarily hasn't won against a dynamic tight end this season. Can you guys think of one that they've really won against? I haven't. The thing about Alabama's defense, there you go. The guy from Texas is a monster, right? And he's still killing it, right? So you look to, he was the last one that they faced. Along with that, though, Alabama, their secondary overall, they've won against some fantastic offensive teams this year. So they are tested in that regard, but the tight end is going to present a lot of different challenges, and Brock Bowers is used really creatively. I think that he's certainly going to pose a problem for Alabama. We all know that. So you can't stop him. He's going to get his. Coach Saban always says this is a heavyweight fight. They're going, and even Kirby Smart said the same thing. He was like, look, Alabama's going to get theirs. Jalen Miro is going to get his. It's just the team that can stay consistent. It comes down to those things. Like, that's why I brought up Will Riker earlier. Special teams, penalties, those two factors right there are going to be monumental in this type of game. What else you got for me?
Really, I was just getting back with that. I know that with the style of defense we play, we really take a backseat to no one when it comes to our actual game plans. But do you think, I know different times throughout the year because of injuries, we've put Terrion Arnold in the slot or in the money position or whatever they call it. Mm-hmm. Do you think that would be an answer and put, Amos out at corner?
I was thinking about that as well. Yeah. Do? I don't know. That I've thought about that myself. I've thought about them kind of sliding down Terrion Arnold and almost having him match up on Bowers. That would be an interesting matchup for sure. And then putting Amos out on the corner because Amos has played, great this season in cover corner situations. So I don't know, but like Paul T is saying as well, Lab McConkey. That guy is certainly a vertical threat. Look, Georgia has plenty of weapons. Add to the fact that there's not a lot of teams that Alabama has faced this year. They might have dynamic weapons, but they aren't able to run the football effectively, right? Kind of like one-dimensional type teams. Mm-hmm. The thing with Georgia is their running backs are capable to run the football as well. They're a very balanced team, as we know. And I think that's what separated Georgia these last couple years. Said this before, when they changed their offense, because they didn't have these weapons on the outside. They really didn't. They're kind of just like a mediocre quarterback team with really good running backs, kind of like the old Alabama teams. But now that they're a balanced approach and they can go up-tempo like Alabama, they're as dangerous as Alabama. So I like that in the instance. All right, make one final point before we close out the show.
Hey, man, that's it, man. I'm just going to go to Atlanta. I'm going to hope for the best, roll tide. The thing that I've noticed with this season was your last call. It might have been your last caller. He said, we went into this season thinking this was going to be a rebuilding year. Well, the further along we went, the more invested we become because you're like, holy crap, we have a team. Yeah. And it is going to be so frustrating if we beat Georgia and don't make it to the playoff. It is going to be so frustrating because at that point it's going to feel like a wasted year.
100%. Yeah, I think so as well. You look to everything that Alabama has done up to this point, and that's why like Delvin from Chicago was talking about the fact it's hard for him to he doesn't want people to hype up Jalen Milroe right right now because like next year is coming. But I think that the reason people are so excited about Milroe is because they're fans of him. Like they've seen how much criticism the guy has taken, not only kind of on a local level, but on a national level, especially still to this day. Right. So I think they love to see, America loves an underdog. Now, I don't know that Michigan is an underdog, and I don't think Michigan is America's team by any means, but this is the one time that like Alabama is certainly an underdog. They've been an underdog and kind of like had that mantra this entire season for the most part. This was a team that was supposed to be vulnerable. They've continued to find ways to win. It's been exciting to watch. This has been one of the most entertaining seasons and high anxiety seasons, that I've covered the football team. I mean, every single game, it seems like we're kind of on pins and needles, especially last week with the 4th and 31. But look, this team is absolutely capable to beat Georgia. If they are able to beat Georgia, it would be an absolute travesty. It would be wrong in every single way if this team does not make the college football playoffs. They would rob the kids. They would rob Nick Saban of making the playoffs 1,000,000%. Georgia is the number 1 team in the college football playoff rankings for a reason. And unless Michigan is able to jump them, which I mean, that could happen. What if Michigan tonight on the college football playoff rankings, what if they jump Georgia? You imagine that? Georgia won, and they could, because guess who was number 2? They have Ohio State, right? So you could have Michigan as the number 1 spot and then have Alabama going into that week at number 7 or whatever. And who knows? Alabama probably still be ranked at 8, be beating the number 2 team, and that might not be enough for Alabama to get in. I just thought of that, but who knows? But anyways, I appreciate you calling in, man. I'll catch up with you next time.
Thank you, bro.
All right, man. Roll Tide to you, man. All right, fam. If I didn't get to you today, remember, I'm online 9 to 10 every day, Monday through Friday. I appreciate you guys joining the show. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Thank you so much for just being a subscriber, hitting the thumbs up. A super chat, remember, goes a long way. So does becoming a fan funder. How to become a fan funder of this YouTube channel. You have your full-time job. I have mine. This is it right here. Go up to the top of our YouTube homepage and hit the join button. You can become a fan funder like Al Sanders is. You get different types of emojis and different perks to become a fan funder of this YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys. It's as low as $2.99 a month. So thank you for your support. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube.